Rounding out more interviews here at the World War II Memorial Dedication Day, I have with me here Williamvh624. He was one of the original band of brothers and a handful who we're able to talk to, and he's a Salem resident. And William, for our audiences, how do you feel today about seeing this memorial?
I'm not wholly in sync with memorials. I believe we could spend that amount of money for a whole lot of better things. Especially since we waited so long to build a memorial to my comrades. They're all gone.
Well, they may be gone, but not in spirit, William. Today, we're all remembering them.
Spirit. You ask me what spirit is. Spirit and this monument don't really mean much. The only thing that can possibly ever create is a little bit to the education of our kids. And if you don't believe that, you come around with me and we'll talk about World War II.
Yeah. What was the situation that you enlisted for the first time?
They called it Pearl Harbor. I never went there, but I lived in San Francisco area, and it meant war.
How did you end up being part of the Band of Brothers?
I volunteered for Airborne, and that's where they decided they needed me. When I signed the paper, it was a contract. When I contracted, I filled my contract. To me, it's simple as that.
Were there days that shook you to your core to fulfill that contract?
Say that again.
Were there days that were very difficult to get through, but you still honored that contract?
Oh, yes. I would do it. I would start today under the same circumstances and go down the same path. There's no halfway on a contract.
How was it to feel with other comrades side by side and all of you being committed for our freedoms?
Well, I certainly saw that happen time after time after time. And, we lost a few. Depending on your attitude, we lost a lot. But I feel that the men we lost were as willing, that's a bad word for it.
They were committed to honor the contract.
That's better, yes. They'd have never backed out on it.
Well, we appreciate your commitment, saying you'd enlist today under the same circumstances, and we're grateful for your service and your example, because I think our community today could use more examples of those showing that type of commitment for the greater good.
They are witnessing it every day of my life because I that's my privilege. I went through so much of that for, and I stand by what I believe.
Can you replay what you were doing on D-Day?
Yeah, I was invading Normandy.
Well, what part of the event were you in?
I was an private rifleman, infantryman, if you will, that went into Normandy via parachute at 1:05 a.m. to disrupt the German plans.
So they dropped you behind enemy lines.
Oh yeah. Hell, if you invade a country and you have to cross the coast to invade it, you had to be in the country. It had to be. It had to be behind the lines, son.
So it's pitch black. It's 1:05 in the morning.
It wasn't pitch black. It was 1:05 in the morning, but it was It may have been a relatively light in June. It oftentimes is a lot later, a lot earlier, and it may have been a case of that. At any rate, it was light enough to fight.
Did you land in a field?
Out fight.
Did you land in a field?
I landed in water. Over my head water. It was not a pleasant landing.
With your parachute on, you had to get out of water over your head.
And I had extra baggage, and I was scared to death because I, to this day, do not swim.
But you made it out with your band of brothers.
Yeah.
And then did you head towards the coast? Because you were
Standing on the beach.
You know, the movies that have replayed that scene are chilling. I can't imagine the visual and smells and experience to be there. Is it?
Well, I never could have imagined that scene beforehand. But they depicted it pretty cotton-picking well.
So that day on the beach, did you make it back to the ship? What did you do next, or did you reconvene with your comrades on the beach?
We finished. I got into a little town called Saint Mary Église and joined up with other troops there and started the war and went on with it.
How many years were you over there?
Well, the war lasted about 4 years over there. I was over there and in a combat situation for something over 2 years.
Wow. Well, I think these points in life to reflect on that is behind us, that there's lessons to learn, and we appreciate revisiting these stories. They may be difficult, but I hope that those watching our interview can gain your perspective, hear and watch and follow your example. when there's tough things to do for the greater good. You stepped up.
I'm not trying to set an example. I'm trying to put thoughts into the minds of people about the results. I've lived what I consider a reasonably productive, reasonably active life in spite of the war. I have not been a person who followed the war or the wars after that. I mean, somebody tells me they came from the Vietnam War. Okay. I read the papers and so forth. And I was able to talk to people about it. But on your program or wherever I'm talking to you, you will not get me to talk about visiting the concentration camps, the horrible things that I saw. I lived through that. It's pointless for me to go out and even suggest somebody else has to live through it.
Yeah.
But I will absolutely deny those people who stand up and swear that it never happened. It happened. But I don't think you came here to listen to me.
Well, no, but your perspective is valued and appreciated. If we don't remember these circumstances, then a little bit's lost in this service that your comrades lost their lives, those band of brothers on that beach. We need to keep remembering that because we don't need to have that lesson again.